G'day everyone and welcome to The Tennis. The world reacts to Jannik Sinner's negotiated settlement with WADA. Anisimova and Fonseca rocket up the rankings with titles last week, and in Doha, Demon on track for another Alcaraz showdown. That's all ahead on The Tennis with me, John Hoovenars. Simon Rea is back, our in-house analyst to the stars. Welcome, Simon.
Hey, John. Thanks for having me.
Next to you, it's the Australian Billie Jean King Cup captain, Sam Stosur.
Good morning.
And
nice to be back.
We got the double as well. Your coach is here with us too. Nicole Pratt, welcome.
Thanks. Yeah, we did play doubles together, but we didn't do very well.
No, don't bring that up.
No.
Brady.
Really?
No, we'll just leave it there now.
Who organised that?
Not sure.
Olympic selection. That's who organised it.
That was probably before your time on the team, Simon.
Yep.
You probably could have sorted these two out a little bit.
I'm not sure they needed me.
It's going to be a big month coming up for you two, though. You're in full planning mode for the upcoming Billie Jean King Cup qualifier.
Yeah, absolutely. We are. Obviously, it's not too far away now, and it's been announced where we're playing, which is really exciting in Brisbane. So all the girls have got a few more tournaments to play before the final nominations need to be in. But we always look forward to the first tie of the year.
Yeah, I love seeing it when you see the green and gold on the news channels in the lead up to March. You know, it's just around the corner.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited, and Sam and I are both off to the US. I'm leaving actually tomorrow to Austin, and Kim Birrell's there, and Storm Hunter. I also think Maddie Inglis is there as well. So, yeah, but then we'll catch up in Indian Wells, see the players play there and check out their form and decide the rest of the team.
Nice. A big show today, and Simon's got some tantalising data on some very interesting players who've made waves in the past week or two. But we're going to start with you, Sam. What's caught your eye in the past week?
Well, I think obviously huge news in the tennis world, but I guess sports world in general, really, with Jannik Sinner being able to negotiate this 3-month ban with WADA. Obviously, there's been lots of opinions flying around from numerous players. I think that's just been a fascinating story.
Well, you're welcome to have your personal inputs on this because everyone else is in the tennis world. We've heard we've heard opinions from the likes of Novak Djokovic and Nick Kyrgios and even Carlos Alcaraz overnight in Doha. But the facts first, it came through on, I guess, Saturday evening Australian time that Jannik Sinner's legal team had managed to negotiate with WADA a 3-month ban, which would see him return to the court by May 4, just in time for Rome, and he will not be missing a single Grand Slam. So here's the statement from WADA. WADA accepts the athlete's explanation for the cause of the violation as outlined in the first instance decision. WADA accepts that Mr. Sinner did not intend to cheat and that his exposure to clostebol did not provide any performance-enhancing benefit and took place without his knowledge as the result of negligence of members of his entourage. However, under the code and by virtue of the Court of Arbitration for Sport precedent, an athlete bears responsibility for the entourage's negligence. Based on the unique set of facts of this case, a 3-month suspension is deemed to be an appropriate outcome. So, giving your personal opinions, where do you land with this?
I think he's innocent in the sense of it. You know, he inadvertently potentially had it through his team. What I don't like about it is the timelines. I mean, if we go back to the provisional suspension, he's still played the French Open, he's still played Wimbledon, he's still played US Open, he's played the Australian Open, and conveniently, he's not going to miss another slam because his 3 months is between now and just prior to Rome, his home Masters Series event. I just really question the timelines of all of this.
Because it appears a convenient outcome
it's too convenient, in my opinion.
Sam, what was your reaction?
My point of view, it used to be very black and white. You get caught, you are done no matter what. But I have to say, in this instance, where all those things are the facts, like it's been proven from many, many doctors and people going through this, a player shouldn't be banned for this, in my opinion. You shouldn't be now 1 or 2 years banned, which is normally what would happen. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad in the sense that that is the case. But I think now it needs to maybe open the door that other players are going to have these opportunities to say, oh, hang on a second, I've got a reason for this. Can I keep playing? I shouldn't miss all these tournaments. I shouldn't be penalised with points or prize money or anything like that. So I think it's a really tricky situation, all this anti-doping stuff.
Where do you land, Razor?
Yeah, personally, I tend to agree with what both Pratty and Sam have described. I think the transparency of the whole thing feels a bit off for me. So you're provisionally suspended in April. Joe Public doesn't find out until August. You're going to end up the athlete, and I think we're all in the same boat there. I think we all accept this was one of those really unfortunate things that's happened. There's no deliberate intent to cheat here. I think we're all in that boat. But now 3 months, it feels a little too convenient for me. You're able to negotiate, I guess, on that period of time. I just look at an individual athlete level, and I accept that all cases are different. I just think other athletes from other Olympic sports, through ultimately being proved judged in a similar way through no fault or negligence, have served a lot longer than 3 months. And I just wonder how they'd be feeling about something like this. So that's probably where it sits for me.
So from the Jannik Sinner perspective, a very favourable outcome. Do you think this is now the chance to finally leave it in the past and the team moves on? He can focus on coming back for his home tournament, the Rome Masters, and that's the last we'll hear of it?
Oh, it has to be. I mean, there's nowhere else to go with it now, is there? He's going to serve his time and be back, and then hopefully that is the end of it. But hopefully this does also now open the door for more clarity on the testing process and the way it's going to happen maybe now moving forward. If you can pay for the best lawyer in the world to know the little ins and outs of points along the way, great. But I don't think if you're 200 in the world, you should be at a real disadvantage in that area as well. So hopefully it opens the door to some more clarity with how the whole process works.
And what about the way, he's the twice Australian Open champion, Pratty? How do you think he'll be able to respond to this with the cloud that's been over his head for the best part of a year now, in terms of as an athlete, as quite a strong, resolute mind? How will Jannik Sinner be able to move on from this?
Oh, I just think it's incredible how he's dealt with it, with this hanging over his head. I mean, if he's achieved the outcomes he has with this lingering and being something that I'm sure is in the back of his mind the entire time, well, look out, because now it's done. It's gone. It'll be, the case is closed and he can just get on and play. But I think there's still going to be a little bit of a media circus in and around this when he returns, but I think that'll be history in a couple of months once we get through sort of a French Open, Wimbledon time. So I can probably expect even bigger things from Jannik Sinner moving forward.
To finish, a statement in response to the out-of-court settlement. This is from the ITIA. We acknowledge the announcement made by WADA concerning the agreement reached. The original process was run according to WADA and the tennis anti-doping program. Following a thorough investigation, we were satisfied that the player had established the source of the prohibited substance and that the breach was unintentional. Today's outcome supports this finding. So they appear satisfied with it. Just some question marks, I think. The optics of it from a public view, and of course a lot of confused tennis players who have been just interested onlookers or in fact themselves caught up in previous investigations. There's a lot to play out, I think, in terms of the discussion to come from here. We're going to leave it for there and move on to other stories from the week. I'm going to head over to you, Pratty. What's caught your eye this week?
Oh, I think Amanda Anisimova winning Doha. I think that was huge. I mean, there's a long story here. She burst onto the scene as a 15, 16-year-old and just, went through the rankings very, very quickly. And in 2024, she took a break and she dropped down in the rankings to 400 in the world. Mm-hmm. To win Doha, back inside, well, not back inside. It's the first time she's actually been in the top 20 in the world. She's only 23 years of age. I just thought that was incredible and a great news story, because I remember her last year. She was in the qualifying events and just scrapping and having to work her way back. And she's done that. She's done that without wild cards. She's done it without fanfare. And I think it's terrific to have a player of her class back in the mix.
A unique player on tour and great to see her up to number 18 in the world, jumping 23 spots this week.
Yeah, I totally agree with Pratty. It's one of those real feel-good stories where everyone saw that potential in her as a young player, and she was still doing very well, really found things quite hard, struggled, did actually have the guts to step away and not just continue on the, through the rat race all the time. And look what it's done for her. So, couldn't be happier for someone like her to have now found this path, and obviously playing fantastic tennis. She's got a big game, and I think she absolutely deserves to be inside the top 20 now.
So the score in the final there against Jelena Ostapenko, 6-4, 6-3. Ostapenko had a great campaign as well. In the semi-final, took down Iga Swiatek, Simon, and that's becoming a real headache for the world number 2 across the course of their head-to-head.
Yeah, well, it's 5-0 now in Ostapenko's favour against one of, if not the very best player on the planet right now in Iga Swiatek. So the one thing I would say, though, of the 5 matches, 4 have been on a hard court and 1's been on a grass court. So none of them have been on Iga's favoured slower surface, if you like. So I think that context is important before we get into the specifics, because in this matchup, Iga's second serve just gets smashed. Ostapenko just gives her the treatment. So I had a look at the numbers. First serve numbers were way down. Second serve the other night, she won 36% of her second serve points, Iga. Going back to the US Open match, which was a 3-set match in 2023, that was their previous encounter. She won 38% of her second serve points. She also has problems on first serve against Ostapenko's quality of returning. She won just 57% of her points on first serve back in the US Open 2023. So there's no doubt, there's something about this matchup in terms of ball striking weapons, court position, being starved of time. Let me just summarise it that way. That's really challenging for Iga. But I do think surface plays into that.
Yeah, I'm going to simplify it. I reckon when some players play tournaments, everyone's got their bunny.
Yeah.
The person they always beat. And I reckon that's her bunny.
The Iga bunny.
Yeah, Iga bunny for Ostapenko. So I don't know about you, Sam. Did you have any sort of players that you would call, oh, that's my bunny?
Oh, yeah.
That you always got the better of?
Yeah, you love playing your bunny.
Yeah.
Go on. Who was it? Please
No,
reveal.
I had a great record against Minaur and Zvonareva.
Okay. Oh, pretty handy names to have in your back pocket.
Yeah, no, I'll take it. But no, I agree with both of you. I actually remember watching that US Open match in the airport when I was flying home. And just thinking, oh my gosh, Iga cannot find a way to win points on her serve. And she kept doing the same thing, like just hitting it to Ostapenko's forehand time and time again. And it was driving me crazy because I was like, come on, you got to do something different. But yeah, the matchup obviously doesn't work for Iga. And now the longer it goes, Ostapenko gets more confident with that and Iga gets less confident with that. So let's see, what happens the next time they play. And if the surface does change it, I don't know. I think it's just the matchup as well. It might play a part, but I just think there's something about playing Ostapenko that she just hates.
Yeah, and expanding on, matchups, right, is you fast forward, and this is the other thing that caught my eye, is you fast forward 1 or 2 days after Doha and both Anisimova and Ostapenko lose in the first round. So, it speaks to obviously different day, different opponent, and it probably just speaks to the inexperience of both players. Whilst they've had a great week, it's like we know the best players in the world. They're able to back it up the very next week and go again and go again. So, there's certainly absolute world-class traits here, but they need the experience to be able to back it up.
What about as a coach, putting your coach's caps on? You've always got yours on.
I know, right.
But how do you find that circuit breaker for it when it's like this psychological hurdle, 5-0 staring you in the face? Is there something you can do apart from like gameplay, changing up something? How do you instill confidence in a player that they can actually beat this player on the other side of the net?
Yeah, well, I think they should employ Simon Rea, actually, because I reckon he can come up with a few. No, I'm serious. I actually think they need
someone like that.
They need to really look at this player, break it down, and go, right, how am I going to find inroads? With this particular player. Like, for example, yes, we know that the second serve gets attacked, but, break it down and go, where is she serving the second serve to? Does she need to risk more, go into a particular side and then watch for Ostapenko's pattern so she's a step quicker to the next ball? So I think I'm not saying they don't respect her, but I'd be suggesting, do your homework and because she can't go 6 in a row to Ostapenko, in my opinion. She's too good of a player. That's probably what I would do.
Yeah, I think there's probably a couple of different ways you could go with it. I'd be really curious, and you wouldn't know this unless you're inside the camp. When the draw comes out and you're eyeballing, the player that you're working with, I'd love to know what Iga's response is when she sees that, that draw. If it's a first round matchup, and it's not going to be because they're both ranked too high. But when it's established that, Iga, you've got Ostapenko tomorrow, I'd just love to see the face. Because, I think it is now reaching the point where there's obviously something really troubling about this matchup. So can you be brave? Can you be courageous? Can you kind of put your hand up and go, yep, okay, it's time to take a fresh approach here? Or do you not really want to know about it and you may be cowering away from the conversation? No, it'll turn around for me today. And maybe it will turn a little bit on a clay court, on a heavy clay court where conditions might be different. I probably have that view a little bit. I think if you're in the Iga camp and you're on a clay court, she's going to have more options afforded to her than she does on a faster court. But I'd just be, and you won't know, I'd just be really interested to see that what the face looks like when the matchup tomorrow becomes apparent.
Well, we're going to keep an eye on that matchup as the season progresses. Other winners last week at Delray Beach, Miomir Kecmanovic, he won the title there. Hugo Humbert at Marseille on home turf, and in Buenos Aires, Joao Fonseca defeating Francisco Cerundolo, Simon, in the final. And that makes him the 10th youngest ATP titleist ever. And we already saw his breakthrough at the end of last season, winning the ATP Next Gen finals, and then amazing start to the year here in Australia with a title in Canberra and doing magical things on the court in Melbourne. It goes from strength to strength, this young Brazilian.
Well, there's been an asterisk next to this young man for some time, and it's happened, I think, even more quickly than some of us thought that it might. And again, without wanting to hone on the one negative or the one challenging part, again, there's another young man that wins the title one week, exits first round the following week. So it feels like we could do a whole episode on that. It's one of the toughest things to do in the sport. It feels like claim a victory, and I think Pratty's right. It does differentiate those absolutely elite athletes in our sport from everyone else in terms of going deep week after week after week. But to answer your original question, John, well, talk about trends of the game, and we're seeing it unfold right here with this young man. So his second serve speed over the summer, and this was a trend that we observed in the playing group, he averages 170 kilometres an hour on second serve. Mm-hmm. That's right up there. It's a trend that we're starting to see in both men's and women's tennis. Second serve speed is definitely on the march. It's picking up, and he's ample evidence of that in the Fonseca game. From the back of the court, he's almost without peer in terms of the damage he can do on his forehand. So he averaged over the Australian summer here on hard courts, 135 kilometres an hour on the forehand side. The top 100 average is 125. So he's got 10 k's an hour on you. Now, what we normally see, when you pick up speed, Pratty and Sam will speak to this, when you pick up speed, typically there's a trade-off in terms of spin, right? You need to get the ball faster from point A to point B. You normally trade off and spin. He's got phenomenal spin as well. So his spin on forehand side is right up there with the likes of Alcaraz and Sinner. So he can hurt you both ways, speed and spin. And then you think, okay, I'll get a little bit of respite on the backhand side. He's 4 or 5 k's above top 100 average on the backhand wing. So weapons and firepower and speed on serve and shot making. And you watch him play, he's prepared to make errors. He's going to back his firepower and his ability to hurt his opponent point after point after point for 3 and 4 and 5 hours, knowing that he'll cough up some errors, but believing that he wants to dictate terms in these matches. So you speak about trends of the game or the prototype, or I think we're seeing it play out in front of us here in this young man.
And we're seeing it play out in an 18-year-old. What are the other players on the tour thinking when they see someone of that age capable of doing such damage?
They're thinking, what have I got to do to catch up or keep going with them? No, seriously, like he obviously, with everything that Simon's just said, he's got the goods to beat some of the best players in the world. Is it going to happen straight away? Who knows? Because there's other things that play into all these matchups and everything as well, obviously. But he is going to be on the rise. I just think it's kind of funny that, what was it, last year he was hitting with Sinner and said he was going to go to college, and he's like, no, you're too good for that. You could go to the tour. Like, don't worry about college. You're ready for the ATP. And obviously decisions were made, and definitely the right decision, what he's done. So I think it's really exciting for tennis. I love, that's what everyone was talking sort of about Alcaraz a couple of years ago when he first burst onto the scene. So now we've got the next person following through from Alcaraz.
The future is Joao, as they say. I think he's up around 60 in the world now, so firmly entrenched in that.
Phenomenal. That's where tennis is, I think, just so exciting. Like, over the years, there's just someone, very, very special that comes through in, a 3 or 4 year different birth cycle, right? And I can't agree more. This guy's good, real good.
Well, he's unfortunately out of the tournament this week, but we'll recap some of the other stuff that's happening in the world of tennis at the moment. In Doha, into the quarterfinals, Carlos Alcaraz, the top seed, he'll play at Ligi Lehechka. Matteo Berrettini upset Novak Djokovic in the round of 32. What does that result over Novak Djokovic have to say for both players?
Well, obviously exciting for Berrettini. We know that he'd been out with injuries and his wrist and everything else. So he is a Grand Slam finalist, so we know he can be one of the best players in the world. So it's really nice for him to see him back playing really, good tennis and a little bit more consistently now too, I feel. The win over Novak, I think, obviously it's huge. It's not a slam though. And it is his first match back, I think, from early matches from, AO time with that injury as well. So maybe even a little bit surprised to see him back so soon. But I don't think Novak's going to show up to a tournament not prepared to win it and be ready. So, exciting for Berrettini, and maybe, it's a little kickstart for Novak again to be, really into these smaller events that he goes to.
So Jack Draper, his opponent there in the quarterfinal, he's taken down another two Aussies. I think he did the same thing in Melbourne, took out Simon, if you remember correctly.
Kokonakis and then Vukic.
And here he's taken out Chris O'Connell and Alexei Popyrin, who's in a little bit of a form slump. Alexei had such a bright run last year, didn't he, in the mid-stages of last year with a couple of top 10 victories and a Masters 1000 title. Have we seen the best of Alexei? What can we expect, do you think, Praddy, in 2025?
Yeah, listen, he's 0-5 for the year. He hasn't actually won a match, but he was saying that he'd had some struggles physically, and he was sort of working through that, dealing with that. And again, it just speaks to when athletes start winning matches, tournaments. Winning Canada, his biggest title yet, making sure that the body is where it needs to be. So he's a big guy. Massive frame that he sort of probably needs to put a little bit more muscle in and around it to build that resilience. And, I'm going to come back to, the type of numbers and speed and spins and the physicality required in the men's game. If you're slightly off, you're going to suffer. And I actually think maybe that's got a little bit to do with why he hasn't been getting across the line. He does have a huge serve, and he's been able to get away with, a lot of free points. But everyone's getting better, and they, like I said, they keep doing their homework. And if they're a step faster, his serve is negated, and then he's not as good as he should be, especially if he's hampered from a physical perspective off the ground.
Well, I think it's a great point, and it's a conversation that I know these two are having all the time with coaches and with players, and it becomes a conversation around if you can't be at 100%, which is really what's required, and okay, granted, perhaps that's a very rare thing that you're purely at 100. But if you're not ready to go, and an athlete knows whether they're ready to go, then is it the right thing to try to get to the start line? And as tempting as that is to fall into, I'll call it the point-chasing mindset and chasing ranking and chasing bonus and whatever other considerations that come with that, and I know they're real and they're significant. I think it's so hard but so important to sometimes do exactly as Praddy's describing there. Step back, take a few weeks, hit the reset button, and get ready to go at much closer to 100%. So I think it's a great point she raises.
Good luck to Alexei for the rest of the season. On the other side of the draw, we have quarterfinals Auger-Aliassime versus Medvedev, and Sam, Rublev versus de Minaur. It was a matchup we saw here in Melbourne last year. De Minaur right back in form. We saw him go to all the way against Alcaraz and just fall short in the final last week. He could be on track for another one this week against Alcaraz in Doha.
Yeah, wouldn't that be exciting? I think we've all been so thrilled to see what Alex has been able to achieve in recent months and years, and he keeps climbing the rankings little by little, step by step, getting there week in, week out. And talk about consistency. Now he's found that consistency, so he can back up week after week. And he's only losing to
Best of the
top,
best.
the best of the best, exactly. So, look, I think the matchup with Rublev's good for him. I think he's playing, like I said, exceptional tennis, and I just feel like you can see that confidence in himself and that ability to back it up. And he can be that counterpuncher with that exceptional movement, but he can be aggressive, and he is taking it to these top guys. And I think if he wants to take, say, that next step with beating those really top few bit more consistently, he is going to have to be more aggressive and back himself to do that. But look, I think he's having an exceptional run, so exciting for him.
Good luck to Alex over the next 4 days of competition. Now, we've got to change tack here and have a chat about this Billie Jean King Cup tie coming up in April. Bit of a change to the format in qualifying this year, Pratty.
Yeah, another change.
So tell us how it's going to work.
I paused there because we've had that many changes. I can't
Hard to
keep up. So it's now a round robin of 3 teams all across the world. So we're playing against Colombia and Kazakhstan. And so the winning team will go through the finals. It's going to be a different type of, in a way, preparation for the tie, having to play, like we'll play our match on Thursday, and then we'll get to see both teams play on Friday, and then we'll play on Saturday again. So at least I feel like, Sam, I think you probably agree with me here, at least it'll be on our racket, having to play that last match on the last day, which is great.
Yeah, for sure. Look, obviously now it's not just about beating one team, it's about beating 2, and it's pretty cutthroat. Only one goes through. So there's no guarantees in Billie Jean King Cup or Davis Cup competition. You see upsets fly around here, there and everywhere. So we've certainly got to put our best foot forward and work as a team, because it is not just about one day now. It is about backing it up. So you might have a great result on the Thursday, but you got to do it again. That doesn't really mean anything. So, it's a little bit different, obviously, but we'll see how it goes.
And then the winner to advance to the finals in Shenzhen, where China and the reigning champion Italy will be waiting later in the year. Well, Kim Birrell is your top-ranked player heading into this tie after her last 8 finish in Brisbane. Of course, the mixed doubles runner-up result here in Melbourne, another quarterfinal in Singapore, and most recently an ITF title in Brisbane. Vic Rudnikov this week caught up with Kim as she prepares to lead Team Australia into the Billie Jean King Cup qualifier next month.
Where do we find you today, and what have you been up to post AO?
Currently, I'm at home, which has been so nice. I'm just coming off the back of a whole week at home, and I hadn't had the chance to really spend too many nights in my own bed since January. I went straight to Singapore after Melbourne, and then I came home and I played an ITF, and I ended up staying up. That was played in Brisbane. So, yeah, it's great to be home and do all the normal things like cooking in my own kitchen and laundry and catch up with friends and family.
And this will also be your first time leading Australia at the Billie Jean King Cup in Brisbane in April. What is your responsibility as the number 1 Aussie woman?
Yeah, it's just amazing, and it's going to be really cool to play a tie in Australia. I've represented Australia BJK Cup a few times now, and I just have the best time every single time, and it's such an honor to represent Australia and to wear green and gold, but I haven't had the chance to play a tie, be a part of a tie in Australia. I did go to the one in Perth, but I wasn't a named member of the team. So to be able to do that in April and then to have it in Brisbane and, what's basically my hometown will be absolutely amazing. I can't wait.
Yeah, and speaking of the girls, Australia's team is known for its cohesion off the court. Tell us about how that translates into like a team environment and how you bring that to the court.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really special that we're all great mates off court, and just all the girls are such good people and people I genuinely want to be around all the time. It's not hard when, we get to be together as a team. I think, honestly, we probably wish we could do it more often because we have such a great time when we get the chance to. And it really was set by example with Sam, Casey, Mole, Pratty, and, you could just tell that they were all great friends too. And then when I got the chance to play for the first time when I was 16, 17, I really looked up to that. And it's cool that we've sort of been able to continue that, but it's just so easy because everyone's so nice, and we we follow each other's results and send messages, and I feel really really privileged to be a part of it.
You mentioned Pratty before, who was actually one of the panelists on today's show. What's the best and maybe the hardest thing about having Pratty in your corner?
Well, there's a lot of best things. That's an easy one. I don't know if I should answer the hardest thing question, especially if she might listen to this interview. But no, I've just been so lucky to have Pratty in my corner, and in particular in the last 12 months, but throughout my whole career, basically. She's been there, and she's such an advocate for women's tennis, and she's done so much, not only while she was playing, but since she retired too. And just so grateful for her, for taking me under her wing. And I had a little moment sort of after Wimbledon last year where I asked her for a little bit more help, and she has really, really done that. And, I think we make a great team, and I love being able to share these experiences with her and travel a little bit more with her. And I've just learned so much. She's such a wealth of information. I don't think many people know more about the women's game than she does. So, to have someone like that in your corner is pretty amazing.
Well, Kim, thank you so much for chatting with me today. And I wish you all the best of luck for Austin and beyond.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much.
Australia's top-ranked player, Kim Birrell. Some lovely words there, Pratty. Your response to hearing that from your charge?
Oh, it's nice, isn't it? No, I mean, listen, equally, I love working with Kim. So it's been great for me to be able to, I think, all the work that's been done prior with her team, the people that she's had throughout the years, they're the people that have made Kim who she is today. And I almost feel like my role is just putting a little bit of the icing on the cake. Since I sort of stepped up in September, pretty much, like we had that chat at Wimbledon, which lots of tears and comfort, but then to equally to be able to say, no, you're going to be fine. You're going to be good. But then I had to put my money where my mouth was. I think the biggest thing I think I've been able to contribute to Kim is just her believing in herself. Constantly on a daily basis, I say, what you've got's enough. It's enough. We'll keep working, but you've just got to believe in yourself in those tough moments and back yourself. And to her credit, that's what she's done. And again, I part of my belief is the game never stands still. So equally, we are working on a few things just to get her that little bit better each and every day. And she's happy to go there with it, which makes working with someone incredibly coachable really, really enjoyable. So no, I'm on a plane tomorrow to Austin to meet up with her, and pretty happy. I didn't hear what was the hardest thing. I'll make sure I'll ask her over there in Austin.
Brains. She's had quite the journey. It's been a tumultuous experience for her at times, Sam, but great to see her now ranked 76 in the world. What does Kim bring to this Australian team?
Oh, loads. Pratty obviously spoke to the person that she is and the type of player and being coachable. And, Kim, what I love about Kim is that she's one person who'll come up to and actually ask questions, and she wants to know. She wants to know what she can do to be better. How do I do that? What should I do? What do you think? And she's not afraid to do that, which I think's fantastic, and I think it's kind of a bit rare as well to be so open about wanting that information. She works hard, and now she's getting the reward for all those years of perseverance through those injuries and what she's been through. And to see her be now, we keep using this word, consistent. she's had that, now at her best ranking, and she had a great summer, and she backed it up with that win at the 75 in Brisbane, which I have to say, going from playing on a full Pat Rafter arena against Emma Navarro and even the next match that she lost, to having that atmosphere and crowd, to arguably maybe a few people in the stands, a few weeks later, to still get through that and win the title. Amazing effort. I'm super pleased for her. I've known Kim since she was like 8 or 9 years old, and she's pretty much exactly the same person, just in a bigger frame.
Yeah. First cab off the rank for Team Australia, Kim Birrell, and the rest of the team to be named next month. Is it, Pratty?
Yeah, we'll Sam and I will make a decision over a cocktail in Indian Wells based on the results there.
Yeah. Well,
And-
mojito or something. What do you have up in
Tough life over there at the
Californian
Fifth
desert?
Slam.
Usually
Nice for some.
margaritas for me.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, so that'll be our toughest decision, I think.
Which cocktail to choose? Yeah, forget the team. All right, it's time for Ace of the Week, where we each share one personal highlight, preferably non-tennis related, as hard as that can be for some of us from week to week. Pratty, I'm going to start with you on this side of the table.
Like, I'm just a tennis tragic.
I know, but you also like Netflix.
No, I mean, I do have to share, like, today was the last session at Melbourne Park with Storm Hunter. Shit, I'm getting emotional,
That's
aren't
okay.
I?
We like it.
After
friends
10
on-
months, we're off, so, yeah.
How did you mark the occasion here on the practice court?
I basically said to a Storm, I'm going to feed you 5 forehands and I want you to hit them as hard as you can. I don't care where they go, but we're just going to remember this moment
That's beautiful.
and move on.
And she nailed him?
Nailed them.
Good on you. Yeah, Storm was great on the pod last week, announcing her comeback. All the best to her and your entire team
Thanks.
for the upcoming American swing. Sam, what's your highlight of the week?
Oh, I think I said on the Christmas podcast, I wanted my New Year's resolution was to be a little bit more physically active this
You
year,
did?
and do a bit more exercise. And
That's ironic for one of the
I
great
know,
athletes in
I
our
know.
sport, like someone that's always been absolutely ripped. Like that is ironic.
It's a bit pathetic, really. But, I had to draw a line in the sand. I've joined Pilates. I've been swimming a few times, like since AO, because there's no way anything's going to happen there, but you do enough steps around the grounds.
Yes.
I've been on a couple of bike rides, which is what I wanted to do. So I've been true to my word. I know we're only mid-Feb, but, I'm proud of myself.
Trending in the right direction.
Well done,
Good on you,
Sammy.
Sammy.
We're proud of you too. The whole tennis team is proud of you. The Pilates classes must be an interesting experience, going from the intensity of the tennis court into one of the more serene environments in terms of exercise.
It is. I've never gone to just I don't want to sound bad, but like a general public class where you just sign up online, and I had no idea who the instructor was, who else was going to be in there, and it was me and 9 other women, and just got on the reformer and followed the instruction, and I actually
Good on
really
you.
enjoyed it. I had a great time. But yeah, I have to say I was a little bit scared doing it because
I
I've
would be.
never
The
done
unknown,
that before.
I've been, my wife always is trying to encourage me to get into it, but I haven't even had the guts to do it yet. So
Well, you can come with me. I can bring a friend. I can click bring a friend, and
Oh,
you
really?
can come. Yeah.
your shout. Wonderful. And back on the bike as well. Was it a birthday gift or a Christmas present?
No, it was a smash the old bikes on the roof rack by
okay.
accident, so a replacement.
A replacement
And if you're going to replace it, you got to use it. So,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but never been happier out on the bike.
Lovely. Good to have you back on the bike. And Razor, what's your ace of the week, sir?
Mine probably would be the last couple of weeks. Our eldest started school a couple of weeks back, and maybe 2 or 3 weeks back, and a bit of a staged approach into, they give them every Wednesday, Thursday, 5 or 6 days off for the first few weeks. This week's his first full week. He was a bit under the weather yesterday, so he was off. But Charlie's really enjoying it. He's loving school at Fines Park there in Geelong, but the prep teachers, that's so impressive to take a classroom of 20, 25-year-olds and have some order and some structure and some fun and some smiles.
Yeah.
And we think it's tough enough coaching 1 or 2 or 3 players, and it is. There's some really tough moments in coaching. But to organise young people and show the care and kind of balance, care, support, challenge, all of those things, I couldn't do that. I'm in awe of the teaching fraternity, let me say.
Especially primary school age. So
Exactly.
it's like a second
Exactly.
parent job, really.
Yeah, exactly.
For me, yesterday marked 20 years since I arrived in this city. 20 years in Melbourne for me this week.
Awesome.
And I came up as a 17-year-old with very little insight into Melbourne and the metropolitan culture. And I, signed up to uni and I joined a college. And last night, I and a good mate who I met on that first night at college went out, caught up,
Jeez, that's
shot some
impressive.
pool at the local local pool hall and reminisced about times past. And yeah, just reflecting back on 20 years in this great city and all the opportunities and experiences I've had. Like, I knew you guys as athletes on a screen growing up at that point, and then here we are 20 years later and working with some fine people at this great company. So it's been a journey, and I guess in 3 weeks I'm signing off temporarily as I become a father. So the next chapter begins in March as you very theatrically close the page on. So, yeah.
I wasn't trying to wrap you up, sorry.
No. Looking
Well
forward.
done, you.
Yeah,
Thank you
very
very much.
excited for you,
And
mate.
thanks to everyone who's played a role in my 2 decades in this great city.
Very exciting for you and your family on the next steps.
Indeed. Thank you very much for all being a part of today's show. Pratty and Sam, you're both heading over to Indian Wells, is that right?
Yep.
Yep.
Pratty tomorrow, me a little bit later.
And Simon, what's your plans over the next few weeks?
I'm here for the next few weeks anyway. Yep, in town, John. So thanks for having me on.
Great. I think Levi from your team's also going to be joining a little bit more frequently throughout the year.
Yep.
Bree's currently on leave. She'll be back in a couple of weeks. You can join us again next week, though, for more of the tennis as we preview Indian Wells, the start of the Sunshine Double, as it were. Don't forget, you can watch this episode and all other episodes of the tennis on our YouTube channel, Australian Open TV. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell below to stay across all of the tennis news throughout the year. Have a great week in tennis, team.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
See you next week.